Hi, Lee Phillips here. Yeah, I'm still lawyering and still like to do trusts. I need to do an update for you on how to put a bank account into a trust. When I started out 50 million years ago, back actually in the early 80s, I had to go to the bank to help the client explain to the bank what a trust was and why the trust account or the bank account needed to be in the trust's ownership, not the individual's ownership, and it was a mess. Then it got to the point where, the bank knew what it was. The bank needed a copy of the trust, and the bank figured out it had 6 million pages worth of trusts in its filing cabinets. So then they said, okay, we don't want the trust anymore. We want a certification of trust or a baby summary of the trust, who the trustees are. We don't care how it goes after you die, but we need to know what's going on in the trustee department and that sort of stuff. So we'd do a 3 or 4 page summary of the trust. Then they said, now we want the whole trust again. And so you had to bring your trust in order to put the bank account in the name of the trust. They took a copy of the trust. And by the way, when they take the copy of the trust and you put that trust's name, date, and trustee on the signature card at the bank, that's who owns the bank account, then they agree that they will govern that bank account by the terms of that trust. If you go in and you change the trust, you amend the trust, you restate the trust, you've got to go back to the bank and give them a copy of the new deal, or they ain't going to know what to do, because they agreed they would govern that account under the terms of that trust. They decided they wanted the whole trust. Well, they didn't keep it in a filing cabinet anymore. They just scanned it. And then they decided, well, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. And this is where we are today. Now, my new wife, I did her trust, and she put it in the bank account, and it was a pain in the butt. I've talked about that, I think. And they wanted a tax ID number. Well, on a living revocable trust, you don't have a tax ID number. By law, you don't have a tax ID number. It is a grantor trust, and it is your Social Security number. And so we argued with the bank and finally won that argument, and we have her bank account in the name of her trust. Well, now what they're doing is saying, hey, we're going to skip this trust crap. We don't even care about it. You set up your bank account in your name, or you and your husband, wife name, joint tenants, whatever. And we're going to do what's now called a POD, a pay on death, or a transfer on death. So when you set up the account, they'll say, do you want to name beneficiaries? The guys who would get it when you die. And so you name your 3 kids. Okay, good. It works. It avoids probate. The only reason you're putting the trust's name on the bank account is to avoid probate when you die. There's no asset protection. There's no nothing of that. It's when you die or when you become incompetent, then the trustee can take over. The successor trustee. You're the trustee to begin with, right? So the successor trustee takes over. Now, they're saying, no, we're not going to deal with trust. You put your name on it and we'll do the POD, the pay on death, or the TOD, the transfer on death. Name your 3 kids as the beneficiary. Then we avoid probate. Well, yeah, does that work? Yeah, kinda. The problem is twofold. One, if one of the kids goes down in the airplane or the automobile accident with you, I now only have 2 kids living and I have 1 dead kid. The dead kid is named as a beneficiary in the POD or the TOD. What do we do? Well, we don't know what to do. So the bank says, okay, go back to court, get me a court order, get me a probate order, and you have the court tell me what I'm going to do. So I'm right back to square one. I'm in court again. So they say, okay, look, what you do is you name the trust as the beneficiary. The trust ain't going to die when you die in the automobile accident. That's true. And if the one kid dies, that's not our problem. We're paying it out to the trust. Now, your trust should say that it's paid out per stirpes, and I've got a video on per stirpes and all of that stuff. It goes down the family tree. So the kid that died with me in the automobile accident, his kids get his share divided 4 ways. So it just goes down the family tree, right? So does that work? Yes, it works. And it avoids the problem of what happens if one of the kids has died and I didn't change the POD to reflect that. But there's still one other problem with it. And I would still prefer to see you put the checking account or the safe deposit box or the savings account with the trust actually owning that account. But the banks are getting real ornery about this. Here's the problem. If you become incompetent, then I have to go to court to get access to that bank account. It doesn't automatically drop down to the successor, the beneficiary, the trust. Now, yeah, I can have a durable power of attorney and that guy can come in and take over and take charge and we can get around it that way. But it would be easier if the bank just let you do the ownership of the account originally in the name of the trust. But like I say, a lot of them aren't letting you do that. So we have to do the POD, make the trust the beneficiary, not the 3 kids, and make sure that you have a durable power of attorney. The durable power of attorney, and we have YouTubes on that. The durable power of attorney allows you to name someone to take over when you become incompetent, and it needs to say how we're going to declare you incompetent, so I don't have to go to court and have you declare. I mean, I've seen powers of attorney that say, hey, we name as agent whoever the court names, or you will be determined to be incompetent when the court of proper jurisdiction says you're incompetent. Well, that didn't help me. I'm right back to square one. So proper durable power of attorney, name the trust as the POD or the TOD. Yeah, we got around the problem. Now, don't forget to love us and like us, and I answer questions. Just write me a question below. And by the way, some of you don't have it's free, How to Use a Trust, and it goes through stuff like this. So it's an ebook. It's good. Just pick that up. It's free. It's down below. So sign in, do whatever you have to do. I'm what's called Luddite. I don't like technology is what that means. So you guys know how to do it a lot better than I do. This is Lee Phillips talking about PODs or TODs and what the bank's making you do to put a bank account in the name of a trust now.